Welcome back, friends, fans, and fam, to the South by East podcast, where we talk about the culture, the scriptures, and everything in between. This week, we have a video from Dr. Raquel. We need to just go ahead and have her on the podcast. We look at a lot of her videos, but she be spitting. She be spitting. And so we're going to be looking at another video from Dr. Raquel. And I want you to think about this question. Are you allergic to success? Let's check out what she has to say this week.
So your pain is not unique. It's not special. It's not exclusive. It is not proof that the world is harder for you than it is for everyone else. It's just pain. And pain is part of being human. Yes, your story matters. Yes, what you've been through shaped you. But be careful not to build your identity around your wounds, because the moment that you start believing your pain makes you different, you'll start protecting that pain instead of healing from it. Some communities will keep you stuck in that. They'll feed this very idea that your hurt is sacred, that no one else could understand, that your life will always be harder because of who you are. And that kind of thinking, it sounds like empowerment, but it's just, to me, it's emotional captivity. Pain is universal, and if your worldview only works when you're seen as the most harmed, the most burdened, you'll stay trapped in the cycle of self-preservation, not transformation. I need you to stop needing your pain to be special.
I need you to stop needing your pain to be special. Man, I love this piece right here. What really stands out to me is that last statement. When I used to be online a whole lot, I used to be on Facebook, I used to post a lot, I had a pretty big following, I had a YouTube page. I only started social media to promote my music. That's the only reason I ever got on. I lost a bet with somebody to get, I said I'd never get a Facebook. I lost a bet with a girl on a trip to Europe in high school. And when I came back, she said, okay, I'm going back to Great Bend, Kansas, and I'm going to make you a Facebook. I said, sure. And she did. And that's the Facebook I have to this day. And that's how I got on social media. So I would post a lot. And eventually I started realizing, man, the more time I spend on social media, the worse my life feels. Because it feels like there's a competition all the time to see who can complain the most. Who's the most upset about the race wars? Who is the most upset about the thing that happened on the Super Bowl? This is 10, 15 years ago. Still the same conversations, right? Whose life is the hardest? What happened to you this weekend? Who has the most compelling post? And eventually I started calling it the Pain Olympics. Like we're in the pain, we're trying to see who is the most disenfranchised, who's the most hurt, who's checking the most boxes for the most marginalized. And I realized this does not advance my life. In fact, it makes any hills I have to climb in my life way harder, because I start out not only feeling like the underdog, but believing that I have to be the underdog. And this can do a few things to you. Number one, it can really build an identity around being a victim. And I know we hear that a lot in spaces that, in my opinion, are toxic, where people ignore or downplay real problems and call it a victim mentality. And so they don't acknowledge systemic structures or situations that do create disenfranchisement or differences between groups of people. This is not that. When I say a victim mentality, I mean truly a mentality where your worldview is built around someone coming after you. It is the trope of, look at all these haters, I must be doing something right, and no one has hated on you, right? That's what happens. And here's a quick story, man, of how that can attack our success. And this is why I said, are you allergic to success? In the primer, I said that I love fruit. I love all manners of fruit. I love the taste of fruit. I love the smell of fruit. I like fruit-flavored gummies, all of that. But I'm allergic to fruit. So whenever I eat fruit, I throw it up. I can't eat it. So many times I avoid fruit, and if I do get close to fruit, I immediately end up rejecting it. And some of us are allergic to success. We avoid it at all costs because it's too important for us to be the underdog. So we can't take the easy way out. We can't take the win. We can't continue to win without self-sabotaging it, without throwing it up, because we're allergic to it. We're so used to being the one that's always broke, who's always poor, who's always behind, that we can't even think about getting ahead or about giving someone else an opportunity, because then they wouldn't be back here with us. And we need every opportunity we can get that we're going to throw up. So here's my story that I was about to start. When I was 25, right, about to graduate college, been doing my thing. All throughout college, I had to walk to school. I walked to Washburn. I took the bus sometimes with my cello, and half the time I'd be walking. I'm walking an hour and 20 minutes both ways, in the snow, in the rain. True story. Walking to college, did 21 credit hours for almost 7 years. Sounds dumb now, but it felt heroic at the time. And I was grinding it out. Anytime somebody tried to buy me lunch, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I was always hungry. I was always broke. I never had what I needed. And then I did a TED Talk. I did a TEDx event. And after that event, people started calling to have me come speak places. One of which was I got to speak for the keynote of the Chamber of Commerce here in Topeka. And I got paid, I don't know, probably $1,000. Most money I'd ever had in my account at one time at this point. My mom and I lived on $12,000 a year from the time I was a freshman in high school. I had more money in the bank than my mama. She had stuff on layaway. I had money in the bank, right? And I was getting ready to go to grad school, saving up money for that. I got invited to come speak at an event where, at a hotel, where they were they were sending this award out for the person who's the least recognized. And they brought up this older gentleman, Hispanic guy, who was just the best janitorial staff they had ever had. He was the kindest person. He was doing so many amazing things for people. And as I was listening to them talk about him and his really this marginalized life and the struggle he went through and how well he did, I almost started to have a panic attack. I was supposed to come up and do my whole TED Talk, but I started freaking out because I realized I was doing better than him. See, I felt like my lot in life was to be like that guy, to be the one with the least, to be the one who didn't have opportunities, but he made something out of nothing. And then eventually someone would recognize how hard I worked and how much I went through. But here I was, losing in the Pain Olympics. His life was harder than mine. He's a grown man. He had less money than me. All of a sudden, I felt like a success story. Now, for anyone who's an adult, you know that $1,000 in the bank, that's nothing. $1,000 in the bank is not a lot. But for me, it was a game changer. I thought I was in a whole other tax bracket. It shows you how much I knew about how taxes work. I was blown away. And I started to have a panic attack because my identity was wrapped up in the fact that I was poor, that I was disadvantaged, that I was the underdog. Now, I never stayed behind. I always succeeded, but I always succeeded without anyone's help, by being the best, by working the hardest, by creating groups of friends, of people around me, by mobilizing them around my grit and hard work. And at this time, I was the most paid person on the docket. And it really exposed something to me about my heart, about who I thought I was. And I was about to go and be poor again in a foreign country, about to go to Spain and get my master's degree. And before I went, I thought it was really important that I figured out who I was and why I was doing what I was doing. Because if I really was going to be successful, then one day I would lose my identity. It's not who God called me to be. It's not who my mama raised me to be. But somewhere along the way, I had forgotten that success was the goal, and I had become allergic to it. But that's my story. What is it like for you? Do you know some people who are chronically addicted to pain and who are allergic to success? Have you ever felt this way in your life? Like I said, I know that I have. I'm a recovering pain addict, but we in here making it happen, making it do what it do. I'd love to hear your stories about you or about a friend. Don't use names. Don't use names. We can use concepts. Don't use names, but I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. Let's continue to talk, have these conversations, especially on Facebook where we're building our biggest community. Like and subscribe, share it with your friends if you think they need to hear it. And even if you just want to introduce them to the podcast, we appreciate that too. And we'll see you next week right here in The Intersection.